Can I get sucker?
Ready, we all get set up for Freddy.
We got time, man. Yeah, run.
Artist formerly known as Prince. So what did his friends call him?
Sir.
Is that what they did? What else did they call you?
Master. No, just kidding.
One thing I'd like to say is that I don't live in a prison, and I'm not afraid of anything. I haven't built any walls around myself. I'm just like anyone else. I need love and water, and I don't really consider myself a superstar. I live in a small town, and I always will, because I can walk around and be me. That's all I want to be. That's all I ever tried to be. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just tried to do my best. And if somebody dug it, then James Brown played a big influence on my style. When I was about 10 years old, my stepdad put me on the stage with him, and I danced a little bit until the bodyguard took me off. The reason why I like James Brown so much is on my way backstage, on my way out, I saw some of the finest dancing girls I've ever seen in my life. And I think in that respect, he influenced me by his control over his group, his dancing girls.
In the Rolling Stone interview, you said you were surprised by so many people comparing you to Hendrix when you play guitar.
A lot had to do with, like I say, the color of my skin. And that's not where it's at all. It really isn't. Hendrix was very good, but there'll never be another one like him, and it would be a pity to try. I strive for originality in my work, and hopefully it'll be perceived that way.
Some people have criticized you for selling out to the white rock audience with Purple Rain and leaving your black listeners behind. How do you respond to that?
Oh, come on. Seriously, I was brought up in a black and white world. And yes, black and white, night and day, rich and poor, black and white. And I listened to all kinds of music when I was young. And when I was younger, I always said that one day I was going to play all kinds of music and not be judged for the color of my skin, but the quality of my work. And hopefully that will continue. I think there are a lot of people out there that understand this because they support me and my habits, and I support them in theirs.
How did your relationships, your early relationships with women, you know, your mother, your sister, who, you know, you refer to in various records, actually affect the music?
Once my mother remarried, she had to, it was during a time period in my life where she had to try to teach me about the birds and the bees. And I think I've never asked her about this, but I think there was some sort of plan to initiate me heavy and quick. So I was given Playboy magazines.
Get out of here!
Yeah, and there was erotic literature laying around that was very easily picked up. And, you know, it was pretty heavy at the time. And I learned more than the birds and the bees, I think. And I think it really affected my sexuality a great deal.
Early on in your career, the androgynous thing, was that an act, or were you searching for a sexual identity?
I don't suppose I was searching, really. I think I was just being who I was, being the true Gemini that I am, you know. And there's many sides in that as well. And there was a little acting going on too.
Okay. Just a tad.
I mean, we'd have the scene where I go hug the bass player. He's a man, and I'd go kiss the keyboard player. She's a woman. You know, we had some of that going on too, but you know, it was rock and roll.
There's a lot of religion in the music, a lot of spirituality. I mean,
Spirituality, yeah.
have you ever practiced any organized religion at any point in your life?
No, sir. I mean, I was made to go to church when I was young, and the most thing I got out of that was an experience in the choir. But as far as the message was concerned, a lot of it was based in fear. You know, what will happen to you if you do something bad, and I don't think God is, you know, to be feared that way. You understand what I'm saying?
I totally understand what you're saying.
I think he's a loving God, and I think he'll reward you for that, not punish you for your mistakes. That's what I really believe is missing in music today. I think we've lost sight of the fact that music, I believe, was put on earth to enlighten and empower us and make us feel closer to our center.
You're on the road now.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of the greatest live performers ever.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, you really are. I mean, you talk about owning your music. I think the thing you have that's worth more than anything else that you have is your reputation as a live performer will feed you when all else fails. So you could own your stuff, but they can pull something on you. But if you know you put, you know, and what, you know, you got the symbol, no matter what it is, you could, you know, it could be Willie. Is Willie gonna sing?
Right.
You know, is he gonna sing Kiss? Well, I'm there.
Right.
How do you prepare for a tour?
There's a great book I'm reading called The Seat of the Soul, which talks about the personality and the soul, the differences between the two. And I've really been into that because I got a lot of Gemini in me, and I can hear a voice in there talking, and you know, it's just I gotta always listen as to where it's coming from. You know, the voice will sometimes say, play what makes you feel the best, play the new music, play where you are now. Emancipation's 3 hours long. You know, it's 36 songs. That would fill up a show. I would love to do that the whole time. Now, that's 3 hours. But, you know, Willie wants to do Kiss, too. So, you know what I'm saying? And Willie wants to do Kiss for the people. The fans I have, well, friends, I don't like to call them fans because that's short for fanatic. But the friends that I have that come to the shows, they're just, it's beauty personified.
This is beauty. You're absolutely right.
And I gotta give them what they want.
You can get tired of playing the song a little bit, but you never get tired of the reaction that the song gets.
Well, you know, in growing, like I said, staying in this business this long and getting older, which I love, you know, you realize that it's not you being tired of it. It's of immense concern. You have to be concerned with, are you doing something for somebody else? Okay. You know, we get wrapped up in a lot of things. That's what writing Slave on Your Face is about, you know. I got wrapped up in the ego of the whole thing.
Tell us what your new charity is about.
Love for One Another charities are nonprofit organization that basically I come do a show and people pay to see that show. We take all of the money. It's not portions of the proceeds, but all of the money goes into the foundation, and we take care of children in need. We have plans to build a school and a dream to build a hospital one day. And it's been, the concept for it has been going on about a year now, but, you know, my soul will say that it's been going on for thousands of years, and I'm just manifesting it now. So it's much more rewarding to do a concert this way.
You would admit yourself, an unusual personality.
Depends.
I mean, well, let's say you're different.
As compared to what?
As compared to most people in, let's say, show business, you're an unusual person. Most people don't get famous with one name and then change it, right? Would you say? What's the story of that, by the way?
Well, I had searched deep within my heart and spirit, and I wanted to make a change and move to a new plateau in my life, and one of the ways in which I did that was to change my name. It sort of divorced me from the past and all the hang-ups that go along with it.
Well, you had a rough childhood, didn't you?
In some respects.
Did that affect your music?
I don't think so, no. I think it probably helped me to look inside to know that I had to do for self. Yeah.
You had a rough time with parents. I mean, that's all resolved now, but you had a rough time with your father, right?
I wouldn't call it rough. I mean, he was very strict disciplinarian, but all fathers were. I learned the difference between right and wrong, so I don't consider it so rough.
Would you look back and say you were glad he was that way?
Well, you know, as I go through this journey, I don't look back much at all. I try to stay in the now and live in the now. I think it keeps you young.
So you're not a reminiscencer?
No.
When did you...
Is that a word, Larry?
No, I invented it.
All right.
Maybe it's my new symbol.
Well, yeah.
Inventing words.
Just HIPAA, brother, so I know. I like to learn, but you know.
Good point.
Musically, how do you evolve musically, and how do you hone your own craft?
Musically, I think I've evolved by the simple fact of working on my spirit as a human being. I've been studying the Bible as of late, and it's began to play a major role in my life, so it's going to affect everything, especially the music, because music is so dear to me. That said, I think that I don't know if I'm getting to be a better guitar player or a better singer or anything like that, but I feel more confident, I guess I would say, in my gifts.
So spirituality is helping you not only musically, but affecting you lyrically as well?
Yes, sir.
Are there any challenges in playing some of your older music on a nightly basis when you're on a tour like this, and how do you keep it fresh?
One of the ways we keep it fresh is we use new musicians. Simple fact that we have Maceo Parker playing in the band, and Candy Delfer, and this new kid named Chance Howard, who's an amazing singer, instrumentalist. They bring different colors to the music, and some people, like myself, they keep bands for 15, 20 years, but I like to find new young kids that have something that they can bring to the sound.
And yet from the sound of the sound check earlier this evening, you're not sacrificing a musical tightness by bringing in new musicians either.
Oh, not at all. Tightness is the key, and also respect for each other. Renato Neto, the piano player, is an amazing player, and he usually leads his own band, and just coming in and having the respect that he has for me, he allows me to lead this band and keep it tight that way. So Renato, Rhonda, John, all the new players, and if they love and respect one another, that's what I think makes the tightness, not rehearsal over and over and over.
Is there a song that you're most proud of?
I like to think of all my music as one song, and I'm curious to hear what the last one that I write is going to sound like. I know what the first one was, I'm just curious as to what the last one would be.
Are there any songs that you look at or listen to of your own that you recorded that you, I guess not regret, but maybe don't like anymore?
No, I understand why I wrote it at the time. I don't have regrets like that when it comes to music. As you grow and as you evolve, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about the people around you, you start to see yourself as part of the whole universe, and all that changes. So I think I've done the best that I could at what I had to work with at the time.
Do you take your artistic cues off what you were experiencing in life at that particular point?
To some degree, you can't help but to. At the same time, I like to try to let people influence me, you know, other musicians, musicians that are in my groups, not ones that are looking to start trends or, you know, or that I see on TV or something like that, but just people that I meet that move me spiritually.
Can we hear Erotic City one more time? Can we hear Head one more time? Dirty Mind one more time?
You mean me performing?
Can you perform them, please, one more time?
Why you want me to perform them?
Because they are songs that, as you talked about before, I grew up with. But I think people will be much more interested in finding out if you'll ever play them, and if you won't, or if you will, why or why not.
Well, I posed the question to you. What should we do with the 13-year-olds that are in the audience when I go into those particular numbers? Go.
The same thing you did with them when you were playing them on the Love Sexy tour. Go.
Well, I didn't play them like that on Love Sexy tour. And there weren't a lot of 13-year-olds out there then. All right. It's a different day and age now. You got kids that, you know, because of the advent of MTV, it's a whole different vibe then. And also, you know, I was younger at that point. You know, I'd like to think I'm a little bit more responsible. How about you?
I still like to hear Erotic City, but that's me. I'm old and responsible.
You got the record, partner.
I'm old.
Speaking of being a fan, as you well know, and I can't even hide it, I'm a fan of your stuff. And just a couple weeks ago, I went to Vegas to see you not in one show, but 2 shows. And you got to stop doing these things at 2 and 3 in the morning, because I can't stay up 2 days in a row.
Well, see, that's how I tell who's real and who ain't.
Am I authentic now?
Yeah, you are.
Am I real now?
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
I'm glad to hear that, then. All right. So if I can stay up at 2 and 3 in the morning, just not to see you go off stage. I mean, coming on at 2 a.m., coming on at 3 a.m., and playing to 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. But I stood and watched that audience in Vegas, Prince, and there are 2 or 3 things that stand out to me about your audience in particular. One, you have the absolute most diverse audience of any artist, no pun intended, that I've ever hung out with or experienced in concert consistently. What is it about you or about your music? I mean, I've seen the black thing and the white thing, and the Motown thing had the black folk and the white folk listening, but you have the most ethnically, culturally, racially diverse audience, I think, of any artist on the scene. Why you?
I think from the beginning, as I was coming into my own persona and understanding of who I was, I never talked down to my audience. Mm-hmm. And when you don't talk down to your audience, then they can grow with you. And I give them a lot of credit to be able to hang with me this long, because I've gone through a lot of changes. But they've allowed me to grow, and thus we can tackle some serious subjects and try to just be better human beings, all of us, you know.
The other thing that strikes me about your audience that's uniquely different is that your audience is very musically sophisticated. It's one thing to love music. It's another thing to have an audience of fans that is really very sophisticated about music.
Yeah, a lot of the people that come see us now, their parents listen to real music, real songwriting, real musicianship, and they respect somebody who takes their craft seriously. And I grew up that way, so you know, when we do our shows, I try to have the best musicians I can find with me at that particular time. And like I said, we don't play down to them. We don't, you know, we're just not, it's just not about a party. You know, that's going to be anyway if it's good music. But you know, you have to challenge them, and I think that's lacking in music today.
You have changed, as you said a moment ago, and evolved in so many ways, and have gone through so many stages in your own career development. You said a moment ago that because of that, you like to do different things. It's very difficult, oftentimes, for a performer, for an artist, to hang on to his or her audience when they're not doing the stuff that you know they want to hear. And you have a certain, and I say this with all respect, there's a certain arrogance about you that will come out on stage, and you know these folks done paid their money. And you know they want to hear Little Red Corvette. You know they want to hear Delirious. You know they want to hear Purple Rain, 1999, everything else. But you come out and play what you want to play at that particular stage in your life. And for your true core fans, they don't ever leave disappointed.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't know who was the one that came up with the notion that you have to play the same songs every concert.
Probably fans.
Yeah. Well, you know, most of the people that come see us now, they've been to see me umpteen times, and the only pity is when they bring their kids and they're trying to show their kids the experience they had. But I don't know how any of us grow if we just, you know, tread water. The idea is that we keep growing, and like we were saying before, is the fan base I have now, they're so sophisticated, they almost expect me to do the unexpected. And that gives me a lot of room to challenge myself as well as them.
One of the things I've been dying to ask you about is this notion of whether or not you think too many performers, too many artists have become too racy and become so willing to sell a record that they will do just about anything to make that record sell. And I want to ask you that question specifically because you are the king, okay, the prince of raciness. Because back in the day, you were like, you were, I mean, I can't even call it pushing the envelope. You were really pushing the envelope back in the day. So what's your sense now of artists who've gotten in trouble of late, pushing the envelope and being extremely racy for much of the American audience?
Well, you know, everything's relative. First of all, racy back when I was quote unquote racy, as you say, I mean, it's pretty light now. I mean, if you take the words to Darling Nikki, which I got into a little bit of hot water about back in '84, if you take those lyrics and read them now, it's a little different than, say, the president of the RIAA reading the lyrics to one of these current hip-hop songs at a congressional hearing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's a lot different now. Anytime you have to rely on just raciness alone, you know, you can only, put it this way, you're going to get the audience you deserve. All right, so when we were wearing more risque outfits, we had a bunch of
risque fans.
That's right, in the audience.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're 21 years old, you're going to try stuff. When you're 40, it's, you know, you don't want to be pulling out body parts because it just it's old skin.
It's old skin,
so
yeah.
it's different then. You know, you don't want to be showing all that then.
Yeah. But we live in a world now. We live in a culture where artists and media conglomerates sell us. I just reading an article the other day in the LA Times about this very issue, that we get sold all this hype. All this hype gets pushed on us, and they're really selling events that really turn out to be non-events oftentimes.
Well, once again, they will get the audience and the consumer that they deserve. I mean, there's a glut in the industry because of this thinking. You know, it's all bottom line. It's all real quick. The artist turnover rate is really fast, and there's not a lot of substance. You know, there's a lot of these kids don't know how to play music because they didn't learn it. They weren't taught the art and the craft of songwriting, and it is an art. And if you don't respect that, then you know we're going to get a lot of these non-events going on. I was I've never spoken about this before, but I was born epileptic, and I used to have seizures when I was young, and my mother and father didn't know what to do or how to handle it, but they did the best they could with what little they had. And my mother told me one day, I walked into her and said, Mom, I'm not going to be sick anymore. And she said, why? And I said, because an angel told me so. Now, I don't remember saying it. That's just what she told me. And from that point on, I've been having to deal with a lot of things, getting teased a lot in school. And, you know, early in my career, I tried to compensate for that by being as flashy as I could and as noisy as I could. And, you know, I just looked forward to this time in my life when I could reflect back on it and talk to people like yourself, Dr. Cornel West. I mean, when you all come over to the house and we sit and we just talk about heavy things, I just become thankful. I don't know what else to say other than that.
How did you get beyond? Because I know you have so many fans of all ages, and I think there are no doubt some young people watching who I know, in fact, will be helped by your answer to this question. As a kid, being teased so much, and kids get teased for all variety of reasons, as we know, how did you grow out of that into, not just into confidence, but indeed into excellence? Or maybe I put it in the wrong order, excellence and confidence. But how did you grow out of that? How did you navigate yourself past that?
Good question. The first thing I did is of course I went into self, and I taught myself music. My father left his piano at the house when he left, and I wasn't allowed to play it when he was there because I wasn't as good as him. So when he left, I was determined to get as good as him. And I taught myself how to play music, and I just stuck with it, and I did it all the time. And sooner or later, people in the neighborhood heard about me, and then they started to talk about me. And it wasn't in a teasing fashion, it was more like, wow, look what he can do. And there's something about having people around you giving you support that is, it's motivating. And once I got that support from people, then I believed I could do anything. And I had a lot of really good teachers. My best friend Andre Simone, his brother Eddie, I'm entirely indebted to in this regard. He used to tell me, man, your songs are better than anybody's on the radio. You can do whatever you want to do. And I just kept rolling with it, Eventually I went out to New York, and I got turned down my first time, but I just wasn't, you know, I felt like Jack Johnson then too. I just wasn't going to be put down, you know, so.
Back to this excellence thing though, talk to me about excellence. I mean, it's clear that you are head and shoulders above pretty much everybody else in the world of music. And that's my assessment, and a whole lot of fans agree. We all say amen? Amen. See that? So it's pretty clear you head and shoulders above everybody else. But talk to me about how we, who are not Prince, can aspire to the level of excellence that you portray in what we do every day.
Well, everybody's talented at something.
Right.
And that's what makes the world go around. We all need each other. And again, it's about good mentoring and good teachers. I had a lot of good people around. The other thing I have to point out, though, is that how can I put this? My father was, he was so hard on me. I was never good enough. And there was something about that, it was like, almost like the Army when it came to music. It's like, that's not even close to, he'd say, it's not even close to what I'm doing. And he'd play again. And I could hear it. John Blackwell, my drummer, he's same way. His father taught him the same way. We learn like that. We learn from being shown. It doesn't come from books and just reading it. We need to be shown, you know. So it's just having really good teachers and a bar that's so high, you know, Tiger Woods. I mean we can go on and on and on.
You talked a couple times about your father, which you don't do in public, and I appreciate your opening up in that way. Help me understand how, I'm trying to juxtapose, knowing you as I do, everything about you is love. You create love in the space that you occupy. When folk come into your world, they feel the love. Love is in your lyrical content. Your whole life is about a love of humanity. I'm trying to juxtapose how you got to this place of being love when you have this relationship with your father that obviously didn't always exhibit love. You could be a very mean person now. Why not?
Well, I have a mean side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me back up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I can go there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a fighter. I'm very competitive. I think from him being so hard on me, that the one thing I got out of it is I understood that in his harshness, he wanted me to excel. He used to say things like, don't ever get a girl pregnant. Don't ever get married. You know, don't this, don't that. When he'd say these things, I didn't know what to take from it. So I would create my own universe. And my sister's like that. A lot of my friends are like that, the ones that I still have, you know, early musicians and things like that. Creating your own universe is the key to it, I believe, you know, and letting all the people that that you need occupy that universe.
to your friends that you referenced a moment ago, how have you chosen, how have you decided to maintain the friendships that you have maintained over the years, and what's your barometer for knowing whether or not those friendships are beneficial? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell whether they're beneficial if someone's respectful of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, respectful of you when they're not around you. I find that most people are pretty respectful in front of my face. When they're not around me, sometimes you hear them say some pretty hurtful things. And I don't know if they think it won't get back to me, or if I don't care, or if I think I'm above it, or whatever. But I remember them as I remember them. And we were in love then, we should be in love now. It's a hurtful place, the world in and of itself. We don't need to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a place now where we all need one another. And it's going to get rougher. So I kind of hope that, I hope people, when they hear that, they don't think that I'm going to lash back out at them, because I'm not like that. I've never done that. I've heard a lot of things from a lot of different people, a lot of pretty famous people, a lot of journalists. A lot of my work is judged based upon my personality or my past work as opposed to where we are now. And I don't know, it is hurtful sometimes.
In no particular order, since we mentioned Dreamer first, tell me about Dreamer.
Oh, well, when I saw the State of the Black Union, Dick Gregory really moved me and a lot of my friends. I show it to everybody that comes over the house, especially white folks, because they need to hear that, you know, so that they know more about all of us. Mm-hmm. Because what he said affects all of us. He said something that really hit home about this phenomena of chemtrails. And, you know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time. And so, oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And the next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing, and you didn't know why. Mm-hmm. Okay? And you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting. So he started riffing about the chemtrails. And he started to say things that hit home so hard. And I would recommend that everybody try to get what he said online or wherever and try to get a copy of it and just listen to it. Mm-hmm. Because I was so moved that I had to write the song.
I'm the one that's crazy.